Right, here's where we left off yesterday, is that I asked people to start this problem and start to look for the hypotenuse and work through looking for these pieces here. So let's pick up from there. Our hypotenuse should be right across from the right angle. It's our longest side in the triangle. Okay, so it's our 16. So when we write out our Pythagorean theorem, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. That hypotenuse, the 16, should be going on the left-hand side. And so we need to solve for x. 16 squared is 256. We're going to subtract. We've got x squared being 240. So we undo squaring with square roots. So we need to take square root of both sides to solve for x. Right, square root and the square are going to undo each other. X equals, and now we're going to simplify this square root. If this process doesn't look familiar, it's because you missed the notes from yesterday. You need to go back. We went through a couple of these, included on some of the earlier examples. So, square root of 240. We're going to make our tower with 240. Starting by dividing by the smallest number we can. So, smallest number we can divide by here is 2. Remember, we keep dividing by that smallest number until we can't divide by it anymore. Then we move on to the next one. And then keep moving. So we divide by 2, and we get 120. Can we still divide by 2? Yeah, we can still divide by 2. We get 60. Can we still divide by 2? Yeah, we can still divide by 2. And we get 30. Can we still divide by 2? Yeah, we can still divide by 2. And we get 15. Can we still divide by 2? No, we can't divide by 2 anymore. So now we take our next number up and see what we can divide by. Well, we can divide by 3. And we get 5. Can we still divide by 3? No. So now what do we divide by? We can still divide by something. 5. We hit 1, top of our tower. Circle your pairs. So I got some pairs of 2s. I got a 2 here and a 2 here. That's going to come outside the square root. They're going to get multiplied. And then the 3 and the 5 don't have a pair with them. They're all by themselves, so they stay inside the square root. And they also get multiplied. So multiply all the stuff outside the square root. 2 times 2 is 4. Multiply all the stuff inside the square root. 3 times 5 is 15. So 4 square root of 15 is the exact answer. As a decimal, that's about 15.5. We talked yesterday about how some problems it's going to ask for the exact answer as a simplified square root. Sometimes that's what we want. And then sometimes we want our rounded answer in some way. So showing you both to show how both are going to look. All right. Questions on that? All right. Next up. Find the area of the triangle. Area, as I talked about on Tuesday, area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. And the important part of that is that the base and the height are perpendicular to each other. So if I'm looking for base and height, I'm looking for perpendicular. I'm looking for right angle. Well, here's a right angle. So let's draw out those two sides that are perpendicular. There they are. So we got base and we've got height. The base is, here's 5 and here's 5 for a total of 10. The height, I don't know. It is this side length and I don't know it. Well, luckily, we've got a right triangle here where we know all the other sides. This is 5 and this is 13. I don't know what this is. So I've got a right triangle. I know two sides. I don't know the third side. That sounds like a job for the Pythagorean theorem. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Hypotenuse. Hypotenuse here is 13. Another way, if you're not sure how to find the hypotenuse, I talked about this yesterday. It's the longest side across from the right angle. So I stand at the right angle looking across, I see 13. The other way you can do it is process of elimination. Remember, the legs are the two sides that build the right angle. So let me build the right angle. There's my two sides that build it. And so the side that's left, the 13, has got to be the hypotenuse because it's the only one that isn't a leg. And then I'm going to solve this one pretty quickly because it works out really nicely. And so we're going to subtract 25. And take a square root. And lo and behold, the square root of 144 is 12. So this distance is 12, and that is our height. So in our area formula, area is 1/2 base times height. And now we've got our base, we've got our height, and we can solve. So our base is 10, our height is 12. So 1/2 of 10 is 5 times 12 is 60 meters squared. It is meters squared because in our formula we're multiplying meters times meters here. Anytime we have an area, the units are going to be squared. We'll talk about that more when we get to our next chapter, which is all about area and surface area and volume. For now, yes, those units are going to be squared. So 16 meters squared is our final answer. So to recap, this process, these problems involve the area formula, 1/2 base times height. And the process is either we don't know something about the base or we don't know something about the height, and we need to solve for it with Pythagorean theorem. That's where Pythagorean theorem comes in. All right? So with that, I want you to try the next example. Okay, there's something that some people are running into here. And so I want to make sure that we're understanding this. Once again, the height is what we don't know. We know the base is this distance across is 30. But we don't know our height. Now, if we look at setting up our Pythagorean theorem, here's the issue I run into. Most of you have correctly told me the hypotenuse is 18. Right? I look across from the right angle, and there's 18. The problem that I see some of you running into is, wait a second, I thought the hypotenuse was supposed to be the longest side in the triangle. But I just said that I have a 30 here, and that's bigger than 18. Well, this is clearly the hypotenuse, right? That's where it is. It's across from the right angle. And so what's going on that there's a 30 up here that is bigger than the 18? There should not be a 30 in your Pythagorean theorem setup. It is 15 for each triangle. So in other words, this triangle does not have a side length of 30. This side, this piece is not 30. The entire way across is 30. And so it's split into half, and that's exactly right. This is 15, this is 15. So that's how we create this leg over here. It's still being shorter than my hypotenuse. And so there should be your setup. If you haven't already, I do want you to simplify the square root when you get to solve for h, so that we have a more exact answer to work with until the end here. Can we divide by 2 here? Nope. So now what do we do? Oh, divide by 3. All right. Now we're cruising. Can we still divide by 3? Fantastic. Can we still divide by 3? Oh, man. All we have left to divide by is 11. But we do have this pair of 3's. It can come out of the square root. The 11 stays in the square root. 3 squared 11. So my exact height is 3 square root of 11. In the area formula, 1/2 my base times my height. So base here is 30. The height is my 3 square root of 11. The rule is when you multiply, we can multiply everything outside the square root. We can multiply everything inside the square root with each other. We can't multiply something outside with something inside. So I'm just going to multiply all the stuff that's going on outside the square root. So I got half of 30 is 15 times 3 is 45. And then the 11 is all by itself inside the square root. That's the exact answer. Now it wants me to round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that ends up being 149.24, and so rounds down to 0.2 feet squared. Again, the units should be squared.